this is the second part of my video series on fighting horse archer armies. There was a request from a friend of mine. He wanted to know how to fight against these kind of armies, and I said I'd put together some videos. In the first video, I looked at army composition really and went through a few builds, suggested different units to take out, and so if you want to look at that video, that is more on army composition, and in this one we're going to look at more battlefield tactics and how to use units on the battlefield. Okay, without further ado, let's have a look. We've got two groups here of units. What's the difference? The armoured cav is slightly closer, and that has a major effect on everything. So here I'm just out of charge range. Here I am in charge range. So when I charge my light horse, it sticks. That's a bonus. Got a disruption. Here there's always an evasion. So just to bear in mind, if any of your units, your cavalry units, are close by, then there's going to be an evasion. So you just got to work out really how to pursue after some of these rather pesky horse archers, and how to effectively use your light horse. And one of the main ways to do it is to make sure that your cavalry is not within charge range. So it's just something to bear in mind. Okay, armour. So we got citizen hoplites, they're protected. Armoured hoplites, armoured. No difference from close up to 2 squares. Let's see what we get. 24. A little bit low. 17. So that was actually a little bit low, and that was a little bit high. Let's see if there's any difference. I'm looking for 30s, 33, and I'm looking for 16, 90. So there is quite a difference, and what it really boils down to is often if you're getting in the 30s with one volley of fire, it will just take maybe 2 units to get a cohesion test, whereas with armoured units, if it's more in the 16, 18, 19 range, it's probably going to be the 3 units you need to get a cohesion test. And sometimes it might be lower than that. Sometimes it might be 11 or 12. So basically, as a Saka player, you want to concentrate on protected units, lightly protected units like medium foot. Keep away from the armoured units like veteran African spear, the Carthaginian lists, or a lot of the Roman legionaries, and look for medium foot and citizen hoplites. Also, if you are playing with these units, a hoplite player or a Greek army, you need to push your armoured units rather aggressively. You need to push your pike, you need to push your warband. Large units take longer to disrupt. So that's what to do. Veteran hoplites, even though protected, their quality will help them pass cohesion tests. So again, generally avoid them, especially at the beginning of a battle. You want to concentrate on the weaker units more than anything else. Now this is interesting. I didn't mention these offensive spearmen, the highly superior. They are armoured, but they're only 240, they're half the size of your standard units, and it's debatable really on both sides. They are armoured, so we get 21, but because they're only 240, it's not going to be long before they're half strength or near it, but the quality will keep them going. So myself, I probably, especially against a horse archer army, against lancer army, different. I might well be more inclined to take this kind of unit. Against a horse archer army, I would probably just go for the larger units. If I had spare points over and the choice was maybe medium foot, then I might well go for these offensive spearmen. They're only 43, so they're pretty cheap. But overall, I'd go for the larger units. Now, this is interesting. I set up a line, imagining we're getting attacked by nomad horse archers. It's exactly the same setup. So, if we charge forwards, look at the distance, quite far. Now, we might be lucky, we've got Javelin horse here, we might be able to catch one of these units. Oof, maybe not just. So, here we go. Actually, and again, that one would have been better because then I could have charged on next. But anyway, just to show you, we couldn't do anything with these guys. And so, we could just move on. And the thing to bear in mind is we are still in a fairly good line, a little bit staggered, but we've still got our structure and our line and our formation. Now, what I was experimenting with is going sideways. Now, this is interesting. That was quite far, but quite often they do not go as far as you might think. And this happens as well. So now if we work this out, what's the best way to do this? Can we go, go sideways? Well, look at that. That was lucky. Unfortunately, anyway, but we will catch this one. And it's stuck as well, behind here. And we've got this one. So, that was interesting. That, maybe I'll just move here. Pushing sideways, you can get more catches, basically. Problem is, my line is all messed up. So maybe at the beginning of a game, line formation is more important, but from midpoint on, towards end game, you're just trying to catch things. So maybe just something to bear in mind, that going sideways, often the evading horse archers don't go quite as far, and sometimes you get this sort of effect where it chases and can catch things. So I didn't know that, actually, so there we go, something to bear in mind. Sometimes better going sideways than straight because the distance can be quite far. Okay, let's go to the next map. Let's go to our second example. This is something you might well see on the battlefield. Horse archer army up against lancers. Points are about the same, 830. I've mixed in 4 armoured noble lancers with noble lancers. As I said before, concerning armour, you want to avoid these units and go for the noble lancers because they are protected and they are going to disrupt a little bit sooner than the armoured noble lancers. You want to have your horse archers spread out. In fact, this line should have been back another square or two because in my tests, when these lancers were charging, these guys ended up just in front of this line. So spread out your horse archers. Also, I played with a horse archer army in the league last season. I did very well, and you want to have at least 2 groups of horse archers on the battlefield, and that is because you want to spread out the enemy. If the enemy line is all compact, that's bad for you. So you want to have at least 2 groups, and then that means there's going to be more gaps. You can flank, you can get some rear charges, and so on and so forth, because these units are more maneuverable, especially your lights, than a lot of the enemy army. So make sure you spread out. Let's just have a quick go at a disruption. It often just needs 2. So let's just do the compact log. So there. Sometimes it is, even though there's a cohesion test, it's nice to fire again because we got an additional modifier there. So we could have got a disruption. Go for the 3rd unit firing, you might well get that additional negative modifier, significant shooting casualties. Okay, so those are the main points. Spread out your units. If you're fighting with horse archers, then maybe you just want to reinforce a flank and not spread out your units so much. With Lancer army, it's slightly different, but if you've got infantry, then maybe you just want to protect a flank rather than just spreading units all over the place. Okay, let's go to the next map. Okay, so next we will look at it more from the Lancer perspective. Now, I've exaggerated this a little bit, but these nomad horse archers are bunched up. Obviously, these are more spread out. This is what you want, really, from the horse archer point of view, and this is what you want from the opposing army point of view. Now, sometimes in battles, because of evasions and so on, you're going to end up like this, and this is what you want. So when you're fighting horse archers, as soon as they bunch up a bit through evasions or positioning or taking zone of control, etc., you're more likely to catch things. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into this little area because we might get some additional charges, and look at that. So we've already caught, we've got a choice, and let's actually go like this and see where we end up. Okay, so that's quite nice. I'm going to go for the guy in the centre. We've got a break. Brilliant. And that is a clear example of what I always say, to go for the unit in the centre, because we've got 2 disruptions. If I'd have gone that way, then it wouldn't have been the same. I wouldn't have got as many disruptions. So always generally go for the unit in the centre. And I think we'll stick with that principle here. Nice, because we've got a good chance of catching. Let's go here. Oh, there we are, bunched up. And we might be able to get into the back of this one when this evades. Oh, he was a little lucky there. And there we go. So, and then we can just move around. There we go. So that was a bit of a disaster for the horse archers. Let's see what happens here. Let's actually go sideways a little bit. Doesn't do much. Ooh. And we have to protect against flanks. Okay, so there we go. That's a good example of what happens when horse archers are too bunched together. They're just going to get caught. So you really do need lines more like this, even though this isn't good either, because he can maybe go sideways or fall back, but this isn't a good situation. These units maybe can escape, but it's getting harder to maneuver against horse archers. So you really do need to space out. Okay, let's go to the next map. To finish up, I'm just going to say a few things about armor, because I've been talking about armor throughout these videos. So we've got a lightly protected unit, protected, some armor, armored. So when the horse archers are firing, the range is 16 to 50 for lightly protected, 14 to 44 for protected, 10 to 34 for some armor, 8 to 28 for an armored unit. Okay, I'll try and make a prediction. So I was getting about 33 for a lightly protected unit, almost there. 29 for the protected unit, just a touch above. 24 for some armor, 26, and about 17 for armored unit, a little bit above 20. Now I found a difference between, in an old video of mine, I found a difference between medieval and ancients. So in medieval, armor isn't as effective against missile fire, but in ancients it is, and you see this most clearly when you look at a unit with some armor, because the average is 24, the average is 29 for protected units. That's quite significant. So it is worth investing in units with some armor. If you remember my Roman build, I took quite a lot of these units and I didn't take any of the veteran units. So even though armor is effective, it's expensive. 78 is expensive. So yes, with the Carthaginians I could take more of these units because I had cheaper units to supplement. With the Romans I would just concentrate on the units with some armor. Carthaginians also have got the imitation legionaries. So when you mix in some of these units, armored and some with some armor, then that is probably for the best. And these are the units you want to be pushing on, and with the weaker units, lightly protected units, have them in support. Large units as well, like pike, like warband, they're the ones that need to be at the front doing the pushing. Okay, so let's do a summary. Cheaper infantry, large armies is good because you need the numbers. With the Romans, if you take lots of Roman legionaries, even though armor is quite effective, you're just going to have a really small army and you're going to get flanked and you won't be able to cover a lot of space. So you do need to invest in a big army with cheapish infantry. Citizen hoplites are good at 42. Mercenary hoplites, 48. Medium foot, a fair amount. And if you look at my first video, I show you the kind of builds that I was looking at. Max your skirmishers, or almost max them, because that's going to help you disrupt the enemy cavalry. Protect your skirmishers, have some behind ready to shoot when the horse archers come in, and be dynamic. If you look at the video we did with the skirmishers, the javelin men got caught, but I managed to catch some of these nomad horse archers after they pursued, and we fragmented it. So be ready and try to anticipate some of the evasions and some of the pursuits. That is how you're going to win. That's how you're going to catch some of these units. Try to use zone of control. Again, in that skirmisher video, I managed to get zone of control and then I started firing away. That's great for disrupting units, and eventually you're going to win the game if you can do that enough. Cover your line, always have some reserves.
at least one unit on the flank covering, and then a couple behind. It can be your cheaper units, it can be medium foot. Maybe if you do take raw infantry, I haven't talked much about it, but they're the kind of units you want in support. With the raw troops, do be careful, because the enemy will probably focus on them, because they're just going to disrupt a lot quicker than your average quality units and superior quality units. Okay, so that is about it. If I've missed anything out, if you want to make some comments, please comment below. If you like the video, give it a like. Please subscribe if you would like to, because I'm trying to get 300 subscribers. Well, we're not far off. And I will see you around soon. Thanks a lot for watching.